everyone, and welcome back to the Smile Code, the podcast where we decode the art and science of happiness, purpose, and living well from the inside out. I'm your host, Dr. Esi Quaidoo, and I'm so grateful that you're here. Last week's episode, The Smile Code for World Peace and Successful Living, was one of the most shared and commented on episodes we've ever done. Clearly, the message of peace is not just relevant and timely, it's resonating on a very deep level all around the world. So today we're going deeper because peace doesn't stop at the self. In fact, that's where it begins. Today's episode is From Inner Smile to Global Peace, Bridging the Smile Code and Pax Humanica. Now, you've heard me say it before. A smile is not just something you wear. It's something you radiate. It's a vibration. It's a code. The Smile Code is about healing ego wounds, cultivating self-awareness, living with purpose, reconnecting with authentic joy. It's about facing your trauma and rewriting the story. Because the world doesn't change when we scream louder, it changes when we soften inward and become more whole. Now, I want to share a personal story about a time when my smile disappeared. There was a time, maybe you've had one too, where I felt like I was giving and giving to everyone, to my family, to my work, to my community. And yet inside, I felt empty. I was smiling on the outside, putting on a performance, but burnt out, resentful, and quietly lost on the inside. At some point, I looked in the mirror and realized that my smile had become a mask, not a message. So I turned inward. I started naming the wounds I had buried. Ego wounds like I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I have to earn love, my voice doesn't matter. And very slowly and little by little, through mindfulness, meditations, journaling, prayer, and truth-telling, I began to heal. And that's when the smile came back. Not the one I gave to the world, but the one I gave to myself. That's when I knew that the Smile Code isn't about looking happy. It's about being whole, about living healed. And when one of us heals, we make it safer for others to do the same. So now, if the Smile Code is the blueprint for inner peace, then what would it look like to scale that peace outward? What happens when thousands and millions of people begin to live from love instead of fear? This brings me to something I've been deeply moved to explore and now share with you. A global vision, a new possibility, a conscious peace I call Pax Humanica. Pax Humanica means the peace of humanity. It's not a treaty. It's not a slogan. Pax Humanica is a shift in consciousness. It asks, what if we could build a world where healing is public policy? What if peace wasn't the pause between war, but the point of life? What if we raised children to regulate emotions as easily as they recite the alphabet? Now, let me tell you about one of the most powerful peace stories I know. It wasn't too long ago, in 1995, 2004, Rwanda experienced one of the darkest moments in human history. In just 100 days, over 800,000 people were brutally murdered. Neighbors turned on neighbors. Families were torn apart. It was beyond tragic. And the world stood by as this happened. Now, how do you heal from something like that? Many thought Rwanda would never recover. But Rwanda chose a different path. They chose restorative justice. They revived their ancestral Gakaka court system, where communities sat in circles and people confessed, people listened, and people forgave. It wasn't easy, it wasn't perfect, but it was brave, and it was powerful, and it was human. Today, Rwanda has become a model of peace and reconciliation. Women now lead more than half of the country's parliament. Youth are rebuilding the economy and redefining what it means to belong. We will not be defined by what broke us, Rwanda said. We will be defined by how we rise. Not as Hutus or Tutsis, but as Rwandans. That, my friends, is Pax Humanica in motion. So, what is Pax Humanica? It's a vision. It's a vow. It's a new model of peace for a new era. Not peace through power, not peace through punishment, but peace through consciousness. It asks, what if healing became public policy? What if peace was not just the pause between wars, but the point of life itself? What if we raised children who knew how to listen, not just speak? Pax Humanica is rooted in 5 key principles. Restorative systems with justice that heals instead of punishes. Conscious technology with AI and tools that reflect our highest selves. A global identity where we identify as citizens of planet Earth. Citizens and stewards, good stewards of planet Earth. The 4th is inner peace as policy, with mental health, mindfulness, and healing as the infrastructure. And finally, purposeful governance, with leadership trained in emotional and spiritual intelligence. This isn't a utopia. It's a choice. A system built by conscious people to create a critical mass, starting with you and me. So how do we bridge the Smile Code and Pax Humanica? Let me offer you this. The Smile Code is the inner revolution, and Pax Humanica is the outer evolution. When you heal your ego wounds, you help prevent cycles of fear-based action. When you reclaim joy, you model what sustainable peace looks like. When you smile from your soul, you activate the code, not just for yourself, but for your community and for your world. So personal peace is the soil and foundation, and global peace is the plant, the resulting flower. So I want you to imagine something with me right now. You wake up in a world where children learn compassion alongside math. AI helps mediate conflict, not escalate it. Justice systems restore, not just punish. And your smile still matters because it reflects the deepest truth of our shared humanity. That's Pax Humanica. That's the world I believe we can create. If this speaks to you, you're not alone. In fact, you're exactly the kind of peace holder this vision needs. So here's what you can do. Share this episode with someone who needs hope. Subscribe and stay tuned for our next deep dive into Pax Humanica. And join me for regular updates on upcoming talks and plans with the concept of Pax Humanica. Of course, leave me a comment or voice note whenever you can. Tell me, what does Pax Humanica look like in your life? Remember, when you smile from your soul, you're not just shifting your vibration, you're contributing to a planetary field of peace. When you heal your trauma, you interrupt the transmission of pain. When you walk in purpose, you awaken the world to its potential. Can you imagine a world where empathy is taught in schools? Where technology helps us reconcile, not retaliate. Where leaders are guided by wisdom, not ego. And your smile matters greatly because it is sacred. This isn't about being perfect. It's about becoming more human. That's the promise of the Smile Code. That's the path of Pax Humanica. A healed world begins with healed hearts, and a smile is where it starts. So until next time, keep smiling with your soul, because that's where peace starts. This is the Smile Code, and this is the peace we must choose. See you soon.